All right, welcome to another episode of Hangin' in the Basement. And today I have a new buddy, Rob Manetta. Thanks for joining, Rob.
Of course, thank you for having me. Happy to be doing this.
Yeah, this is great, man. I first saw, I first encountered Rob a couple weeks back at a live show in Garrettson Beach at the Gather Inn. And this guy's just belting it and jamming. And after a long day of work, and I'm just like, wow, his impressed by his energy. And the music was tight and really I, like I said, some of the influences that came to my mind were Weezer, but also like a hardcore thing. And uh, yeah, so of course I want to get down that path a bit, but yeah, just in general, I'm curious to pick your brain on your life, just have a friendly chat.
Sure. Happy to be doing it. I was really excited to hear that you're from the neighborhood and that you've been playing in bands for a while. I know we had some people like some mutuals, I believe. So
Hmm.
that was cool to
Yeah,
hear. We're all
got Carlos,
connected.
right? Carlos
Yeah,
Lemus is
Carlos.
a
We're all
friend.
connected in some way in this neighborhood. So
Yeah. Have you run into Josh Salant over the years?
yeah, of course. Josh Salant, I don't know if he knows me, but like I we played a show recently, Screwball, and he was with this band Power Chords. He was playing drums for them. But I remember Josh Salant from Sam Ash back in the
Hmm.
day.
Right,
And
right. Yeah.
one of my favorite memories of Josh was I had a like an Epiphone SG. It was like maybe eighth grade graduation present for my mom. And my cousins were over, they were playing. One of them pushed it over and the head snapped right off, which is
Yeah.
classic, the set neck guitars, that's like a common casualty for
Mhm.
those. And I remember bringing it into Sam Ash, and I was like, "Is there anything we can do about this?" And everybody was like, "I don't know, man. I don't know." And it was like all these people that every time I go into Sam Ash, it's like I always see like this guy,
Yeah,
like
familiar guys. Yeah.
yeah. And then Josh just comes out of nowhere. He's like, "Nah, dude, you could save that. That's rock and roll, man." I was like, "That. Thank you. That's all I needed. Thanks,
That's
man."
Josh, man.
Yeah. And
Come with the
every
positive
time
vibes, right?
100% positive vibes, and I got it. My dad brought it to his shop. He worked I worked in the transit authority for almost 40 years, and his buddy rigged it back together. It's got a little buzz to it, but it's in working condition. I played one show with it after, and I was like, all right,
Mhm.
maybe I'll just hang it up. And but still,
Mhm.
that's all I needed. It was rock and roll. And every time I see Josh, he's always good vibes. Me and my friends were driving but yeah, we were going to a show actually, and we just see Josh like next to us, like listening to music, like in the window, and we're like, "Yo, Josh," and he's like, "What's up? Still rocking?" And we're like, "Of
Mhm.
course." He's like a movie character. He's
He
great.
is. He's like right out of like Bill and Ted's or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's great. Yeah,
yeah.
one time he came to a show that I was a Garrison Beach thing a couple years back. There was this we call it Brooklyn Showcase. I don't know if you remember that or heard of it. It was at the Tamaqua. It was like a bunch of Brooklyn musicians, more from my generation because it was run by a guy around my age, and but older and younger too. And anyway, I had car trouble. I got stuck on Garrettson Beach. Like I went to my wife was there for a little bit. Yoko drove her home. Then I was coming back because I had another song or two to sing and to play. And the car died right there, like 11:30 at night or something on Garrettson. So fortunately, it wasn't freezing or anything. But and I was able to find it to pull into a spot as it died. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Josh comes to the rescue. I'm texting the people like I can't make it. Sorry. And Josh comes over with his car and a friend of mine, Tom, and he tries to help me out. We try to call AAA together, whatever. And so I say we couldn't get to work, so I just left it there. He gives me a ride home, and what's blasting on his radio but Kill 'Em All, Metallica's Kill 'Em All. He's
Hell
just like,
yeah.
yeah, man, the tunes. I'm like, wow, that's old school. Just still listen to Kill 'Em All.
He's great, man. I don't know. Every interaction I've had with him has been positive. He's just like I said. I don't know if he knows really me, but I just know him because like so many people I know him, and I just
Right.
his name is always around. It's like that guy is like awesome.
He's fun. He's in a couple of my music videos as a drummer. Um,
Nice.
and we never were in a band together, but we managed to connect because I recorded with his studio, and they're fun. Maybe I'll put the
Nice.
links in the show so people could see that. Marching Marshmallows. They're kind of funny, kid-friendly videos.
Yeah, nice.
Anyway, yeah, man. So let me ask you kind of a random question. What's your favorite number?
Number. That's a good question. Let's go with 22. I don't know. I feel like 22 every time I look at the clock, I see 22. I also know you were in a band called District 22.
Oh wow, deep
I
dive, nice.
looked at your YouTube. You rip, man.
Oh, thank you. That was when I was really playing guitar a lot. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw like the beard, right? That was you in the picture, right? The
yeah, yeah.
red.
Must have been.
Nice. But yeah, 22.
Nice.
I feel like I said, I see that number everywhere. So I'll go with that one.
And you know how that name came about? That band name was there was uh, three of us, and it was a four-man band. Three of us were from James Madison High School, and the other guy wasn't. I don't know what school he went to, but we were all in the neighborhood, and like so we couldn't relate it to Madison, but we were all in District 22 school zone.
Yeah, yeah. Of
But
course.
and it was
I
kind of
had
the
a
hip
feeling.
thing. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. You know you have that like inside scoop on the school thing.
Yeah, of course. Nice.
Yeah, I mean there was a time where like I don't know if you would remember it, but you could see it by just music history where putting a number in your band name was kind of cool or something from like
Sure.
late 90s to early 2000s. It was just a thing people did. So
I
Blink
feel
182,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. Of course, Sum 41. My first band, Field Goal, we hopped on trends too. It was like in that music genre, like the emo genre, everybody was naming their bands after like sports things, and we just like hopped on that too. So
Field goal. All right.
yeah.
Cool.
So
Um, so I take you're a Brooklynite, born and bred, or what?
yeah, yeah, I was born and raised in Marine Park. Well, technically I was born in Staten Island Hospital, but I'm from Marine Park. My mom grew up right around the corner from where I grew up. My dad was from Bensonhurst and then moved to Mill Basin, which I'm now living in the house that he grew up uh,
Oh, cool.
in Mill Basin. But yeah, yeah, Marine Park, South Brooklyn, I guess. Well, I learned South Brooklyn, I guess, is a term that you can use for this area because I didn't realize it was like North Brooklyn, South Brooklyn. And I learned that South Brooklyn isn't even the name for this area, apparently. It's supposed to be Southern Brooklyn and real South
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
right.
I don't know, but
Yeah,
that
it's silly. Yeah, I got familiar with the map when I was a Buddhist leader. We divided Brooklyn into sections of who was covering what, and
yeah.
this was called we called it Brooklyn South. Where this area I was kind of in charge of partially, and but you look on the map and you see in the old school they used to call South Brooklyn was like near Red Hook, right?
Right, yeah, yeah. And that kind of doesn't really make sense, right?
Yeah, I guess Brooklyn, when it was a growing city, that was kind of the southern limit of that, and then it's just more like farmland beneath that or something like
Sure.
that.
It's stretched out here. So I was a part of this music scene in Garrettson Beach, well, based mostly in Garrettson Beach. And like our whole thing was like, we're music from South Brooklyn, South Brooklyn. So that was like the first time I heard people refer to it as South Brooklyn. So after that,
Okay,
I took that and ran with it. So
nice.
it's like, we're booking our own shows in South Brooklyn, so we don't have to go up north to Bushwick, Williamsburg, So it
Uh-huh.
became kind of like, South Brooklyn, yeah, it's our thing. So yeah,
Makes sense to me. I'm all about, why not keep things local? I mean, I hated, always having to gig in the city, or having to travel a lot and then dragging people out there. If you
yeah,
can get your friends to come somewhere nearby, wouldn't it be better? And sometimes we were able to do that, but a lot of times, in my experience, you got to drag them somewhere further away.
yeah, for sure. It's a lot easier to like if there's a show like so we used to play at this well before we even played at the Nest. It was a venue that was around for like 5 years. It was like right next to Prospect Park. So it wasn't too far up, but it was like just right like right off the queue line. Before we did that, we used to play at my buddy's house in Garrettson on Beacon Court. And it was like way easier to get our friends to come out to that because it's just like you roll out of bed, you're right over there. So
Yeah,
then
that's
once we
great.
started playing up north, it was a little, it took a little bit more. We had to take our promotion a little bit more seriously and
Right, right.
you know,
Because what's the guarantee of people coming out there? I mean, whatever. I mean, depends on what buzz you got going, but
yeah.
you always got to push.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't have like a ride out there, I mean, parking's a nightmare already getting up there, but also
Yeah,
just the train ride. It's, you got to take the Q to the city, then you take the L back down. It's just it's a nightmare. But
yeah,
you know,
yeah. So when you say Marine Park, whereabouts in Marine Park were you living?
So on Avenue R. So I grew up between East 31st and Marine Parkway. So like right at like
Right,
the
right. Okay, yeah,
entrance
you
of
told
the
me that. Yeah,
track. Yeah. So,
cool.
so
Yeah,
right,
that's a cool spot.
yeah, yeah. I have no complaints. I have to say I love being from Marine Park. It's just a nice place to grow up and be a kid. I think all my friends lived in the surrounding blocks. Used to always be outside. And the park's right there, so you can't beat that. So
Hmm.
yeah. I never had like that like, oh, I hate this neighborhood. I always loved it. I thought it was great. I felt lucky to be living there, and like as I've gotten older too, like meeting people that live here and aren't necessarily from here. A lot of them don't know about Marine Park. They don't know about
Hmm.
Garrettstown and
Right.
Sheepshead and Midwood, whatever. They don't know about it, so it feels like kind of like a little secret, a
Secret
little.
gem. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice. And when I would bring people over here that don't know about it, they're all like, "Wow, this is really great. I never knew they had stuff like this in Brooklyn." So
Hmm.
yeah.
Almost like feels like you're in the suburbs type of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, I always hear that. Yeah, it's like the suburbs over here. It's like, yeah, nice, right?
Yeah,
So,
I love it, man. Yeah, I'm pretty much a Marine Park. I grew up technically in Sheepshead Bay, kind of until six, maybe,
okay.
and then I moved on to East 35th Street at the age of six, and
There we go.
more or less been around here. Uh,
Cool.
yeah. So when did you first get into music, or like would take it seriously enough to kind of practice and stuff?
So I was always around just like rock music. Of course, my dad was born in like 58, my mom in 62, so their music was kind of like, like the Beatles and then just like the 70s rock stuff. So they would always play stuff in the car, like I'd always be listening to The Who. My dad played Cat Stevens all the time, like George Harrison and all that, so I was always around it. But then I spent like a weekend at my cousin's house on Long Island, and he was in a band, like a cover band, and they
Hmm.
played like Smoke on the Water and Thunderstruck, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. So then after that, I was like, and of course, I watched School of Rock. That was a
Okay.
huge, that was huge for me. So after that, I was like, I gotta get into this stuff. I gotta get a guitar. So my fifth grade, my birthday in fifth grade, I got my first Squire, and I
Hmm.
didn't play it for like a year. And then when I got to junior high school, I was given a bass to be in the school band, or like when I was
Hmm.
in the school band, I wanted to play bass, and then from there, like, I was just constantly having to play the bass for school, and then it kind of was like, oh, I love
Wow.
doing this. This is what I want to do. I'd always be learning new songs. I'd love to learn like Green Day stuff and Blink-182 and all the classic rock stuff that I liked. And then by the time I got to high school, I was meeting uh, just like people that also played guitars and drums, and it was like, okay, we should hang out and put something together. So I met with
Hmm.
my buddy Joe and Will at the time from St. Edmunds, and it was the first time I ever played music with people in like a
Hmm.
band, and it was like yeah, this feels really good. Like when you because you're so used to playing by yourself and just you play your one part, but when you have like this guy playing the bass part, this guy playing the drums, it's like wow, this is like
It's thrilling.
it's yeah, you get like a rush. It's like let's play like 100 other songs. Yeah, and after that, like I never went back. Just
Oh, it's great.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Similar. I mean, I had some. Of course, everyone's journey is going to be a bit different, but I did have the similarity of getting a guitar. I got my first guitar in sixth grade,
Mhm.
and uh, and then I let it sit for about a year, or maybe 6 months or something like. Because I got it, I was so excited. I love Guns N' Roses, Metallica, and stuff like that. I was begging for a guitar. Finally got one, and it was called a Rock Axe. That was like the beginner thing that was available. It had like a strap body, and I slid up the neck. I did that a few times. I like this doesn't sound like my favorite music at all. I didn't understand distortion really, like
Mhm.
this clean tone thing where I put distortion as this noise. I'm like, ugh. And then I just let it sit. Then months later, my friend came. He was like away for the summer. He came back. He's like, "Oh, you got a guitar? Show me." And he was able to pluck a few notes, like one from Metallica, then
Mhm.
Enter Sandman. I was like, my guitar could do that? I was
Yeah.
like, show me, man. And then then he showed me those, and then I was off to the races. And very quickly, I was learning. I got these like simplified tab books that you could find in Sam Ash, or even Sam
Oh,
Goody sold some tablature books back then.
sure.
And yeah, and then
That's
then I had like my first jam with a friend, or I mean, we tried to had like my kids in my block, friends in my block, putting a band together, but we didn't really sound like music. But then I got this one drummer who like a friend hooked it up, and he came over. We were, 13, 12, 13, no, 12, 12 and 11. And we played this kind of punk song I wrote, and he just like, let me hear it. And he's like, yeah, I think I got it. Let's try. I'm like, you got it, really? So I did the intro, and then he did this fill, and then he goes into a beat as we're playing it, and like everyone in the room started laughing, like they couldn't believe it sounded like a band, like a bunch of kids were hanging out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that recording is captured. That I put that on YouTube. So that like
Wow.
first jam,
Damn,
it's a
that's
moment.
awesome. That's great. Was that when you were living on 35th Street?
Yeah, I was in 35th. I'm still on 35th Street. I'm a few doors down. My mom's house, and in the basement. Some of this. That's kind of the spirit of hanging in the basement. I just love those days when I hung in the basement with my friends playing music. So
That's great. And your house was the designated house to jam at?
that was the house. Yeah, and
Great.
because partially my dad died when I was young, and my mom liked to probably have me around in the house. Not out causing trouble. So she kind of put up with a little more than other people's parents would put up with.
Yeah, I my mom too, I have to give it up to my mom because she let us play really loud. Like in that like she got me a drum kit. Her and my cousin got me a drum kit and they just let me like he she just let me play like as loud as I wanted in the basement. And then when like I started accumulating more people to come play with me, we were playing for a while, like really loudly in my basement, and like the neighbors never complained, she never complained. And
Wow.
honestly, if it wasn't for that, like, I know so many people whose parents are like, no, not in my house, not in my, and
Yeah,
there
you
wasn't
can't.
many. I mean, we had Fast Lanes
Mhm.
studio on Flatbush, which I played once with. Actually, that might have been my first time ever like playing music with people. But it was, I think that closed not too long after I started playing music with people. But if it wasn't for my mom letting me play music in
Mhm.
our basement, then who knows if I would have been playing in bands.
Exactly. No, yeah, big kudos to our moms. My mom too, the same thing. That I realized, like, if I didn't have that support, or that like space to really, that safe space to create noise, what would have happened?
Right.
My musical life would have been quite different, and all my social life too, right? Because so much brotherhood evolved around that.
100%. Yeah, I feel the same way. Like almost all my friends I've met through music. Just like if it wasn't people just from the neighborhood from school, like almost everybody I hang out with today, like all my closest friends are all from playing in bands, from being interested in certain music, from playing guitar, like who being introduced to somebody because they also play the guitar or they play the drums. And yeah, I don't know what I would be if I was if like I didn't have that. So
Yeah, man. Two things that really mattered to me um was music, of course, and also the creek, or like a marine park, if you want to say, like, because whenever I got these like crazy emotions, didn't know how to deal with, I could write lyrics, I could play guitar,
right.
or I could at least take a walk in nature and maybe write a poem over there, or just I can't imagine if people don't have an outlet like that, what the heck you do,
Yeah,
you know?
100%. I feel like we kind of, I mean, the, it's different for everybody, but I feel like we kind of lucked out, being where we're from. It's like you have the city, but then you also have a little bit of like, like the peacefulness of the park, and then the like you said, the creek or the marsh. I think we live in a
Kind of
really
best of both
unique,
worlds, best
yeah,
of both worlds type of thing, right?
for sure. We live in a really unique place. It's very special, I think. I feel lucky. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just giving a like to just a shout out to anyone who's watching live. Thank you for being here. I got um, Veronica says hello, and
oh, Miss
to
Danielle.
you, to Rob, yeah,
Cool.
Veronica
See you
Daniele says
tomorrow.
hello, and and a friend of mine from Japan named Honey San says he's studying English right now with our conversation.
Oh, awesome. There we go. Hopefully, hopefully I'm
Yeah,
speaking properly. I speak backwards sometimes, so hopefully I don't confuse anything. So
that's cool. So so bass, and then but when I saw you playing in Screwball, it was guitar. So you bass, guitar, you play little drums too, I guess, right?
yeah, yeah. So I play a little bit of all three when I was in school. When I went to Cunningham, the school that I work at now. When I went to Cunningham, I played bass in the band, and I think that was the thing. When I like you said, you got the guitar, you let it sit for a while. When I got my guitar in fifth grade, I realized like, oh wait, you need to use both your hands. That you're not just holding the guitar with the hand. So it was maybe a little daunting. So I think the bass having the four strings was a little bit more like, okay, we'll start here. We'll figure out the single notes, the frets or whatever.
Mhm.
And after I was playing a little bit more on the bass, I started learning chords on the guitar, and that kind of from there I kind of learned. Once I learned power chords, that was all I needed. I was like, okay, I'm good. Now I could play most of the songs I like, and that's eventually how I started writing music. But yeah, drums a little bit too. I played drums mostly like late junior high school and then like early high school, which I stopped playing drums in my basement because like my one of my neighbors got sick and I didn't want to play too loud. Like he lived right next door. I didn't want to disturb
Mhm.
him, whatever. So then eventually the drums got packed up. But whenever I get a chance to play the drums, I take it because I love it. It's so fun. You can just let loose. And I
Yeah.
played drums in my buddy's band for a while, who he's in Irish Exit now, and he's in my band, Ryan. So I
Mhm.
played drums for his band a little bit, but I was never like, I never felt like I was like amazing at the drums. I loved to do it, but I never felt like that's not like my main instrument. So I always felt like guitar, and I always like to sing too. So guitar and singing, I feel like are my main things for sure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and I guess songwriting must be important to you since you can kind of do a little bit of everything.
For sure. I love writing songs. I still have like it's very difficult for me to write words. Like writing lyrics are very difficult for me because I get too much in my own head and like I want it to be perfect. And so many of the songwriters that I liked like growing up where it felt like so like they felt like on like a next level. So I would always try to be like, oh, it's not as good as I always think it's not as good as them, or like I can't put words together as well as they can. So it always kind of put this thing in my head where it's like, oh, maybe just like maybe I'm not good at it, which is still something I struggle with to this day. Um, but yeah, so I just love writing songs, like even just like instrumentals, like all my songs usually start off that way anyway, and then I throw the lyrics on top of it. But yeah, songwriting is just one of that and just playing live are like my favorite parts of music altogether. It's like it's what brings me to it and what keeps me doing it all the time. So.
Yeah. Wow. So I know some people have there's all sorts of different approaches on how to write a song. And like some people do lyrics first, music. So you say you basically do music first?
For the most part, but I feel like sometimes when I do write the music first, I feel like I try to fit the lyrics or like keep it in this like little box, so now it can't really like be messed with. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? If it makes sense, like it's like, oh, I have to fit it into this like this bar. So now I can't edit the words too much. So what I've tried to
Oh,
do is
I see.
sometimes, yeah, right. So it's like that's something sometimes what happens, or like it becomes like a roadblock for me sometimes when I write. But the songs that I feel like I've been the most successful with, like as far as like completing it, are the songs where it'll start off as a phrase and then I'll build this like the music to the words.
Mhm.
And a buddy of mine, my buddy Matt, who I was in this band Huffers with for a while, he said he said he tries to finish a song in one go. Like don't get up until you finish writing the song. And I've
Interesting.
and it's a challenge, of course, but like I feel like I've written some songs like I have a song called Shrimp Farm, which is a Screwball song, and it's like a minute and a half, and that was what I did with that song. And it's like one of my favorite songs because it's like a silly, simple song, but I didn't. I sat down. I had the idea in my head, and I was like, I'm not gonna get up until I finish this song, and
Right.
it worked. And but again, it's not always gonna be like that. The path is
Right.
different every time, but that's just like a little thing
Mhm.
I try to remind myself, like, oh, I did it for that one. Maybe I could do it again, and you know.
So let's say for that song, the minute and a half song, what are we talking? 45 minutes of sitting or like 3 hours or what?
It probably like an hour or two. It was after, so I worked at a van store in Kings Plaza
Hmm.
for 7 years. And it was like after a night at work where it was like, oh, I fucking hate this job. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse. I was like, oh, this, like, it's just the frustration of like being at this job.
Hmm.
So it was like really like I was feeling it. So it didn't take too long.
Hmm.
And probably about 2 hours, 3 hours. It wasn't like it's not that like deep of a song. It's nothing too crazy. It's not
Hmm.
crazy wordplay, but I like sat down and really just like I was determined. It's like two verses, and like not, I wouldn't say a chorus. It's like kind of like they're two different. It's almost like four verses. It's just like the
Right.
the parts sound similar, but yeah, I just sat down and did it within like an hour or two, or 2 or 3 hours, I should say. And it felt right. It didn't feel
Hmm.
like anything more needed to be added. Of course, we messed with things a little bit when I brought it to practice and we
Sure.
wrote it out, flushed it out. But yeah, in the moment, I kind of did it, recorded it, put it on SoundCloud, and that was like one of the most smoothest writing experiences I've ever had. And I
Hmm.
try to emulate that now. So, you know,
Interesting.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, songwriting. I've written a lot of songs, and I've lately I haven't been able to write songs for years actually, and I'll tell you why because uh, I wrote so many that when in my college year, and I mean, in high school, of course, with my metal bands, but then became this like singer-songwriter thing as I entered college and kind of folk, acoustic folk rock, something like that. Also, like a little dabbled in blues and jazz, I guess, and then rock again or hard rock again. But I just put so much into that music, and I felt like if I don't release those songs, then like I can't really justify writing a new song to myself because the song wants to be heard. And what about all those songs that are not heard? So like it's more important to me these days is to like if you look at my YouTube page, it's got all this archive stuff. Some of it goes onto Spotify and stuff if I feel like it's mine. But if it's a band and a mix thing, I've been putting on YouTube because so much went into it. But I'm like, I got to share it, and basically everyone's cool with it. It's just really for this, nostalgia or to let the music live.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, when I was writing songs a lot, it was so therapeutic, and I'm like, I'll just do the song. I would sing and play, kind of like sit with my guitar, usually acoustic, and there's like a music stand right there. Just write the words, sing some, put just like maybe. Actually, back in the day, I wouldn't even notate the chords because I was playing so often, I wouldn't forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then maybe play it through 2 or 3 times, record it if I needed to, always with the cassette tape back then, right?
It's awesome.
And yes, I don't know. There's so many different ways of doing it. But I would definitely say I'm not a perfectionist with music, and which is why I was able to release so much stuff
Mhm.
because it's always more important to me to release than to perfect anything.
You can't be a perfectionist because then it's just gonna sit around for like I have songs that like I started like years ago and I just like it doesn't feel perfect, so it's just been sitting in like purgatory forever.
Hmm.
But if you just like throw it out there, you have to think like you could always just write another song, just always write a new one. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like if I think about the songs that I love too, like most of the music I listened to in high school, like sounded like just like voice memos on like an iPhone, and they were like crappy quality. Like I'm sure like it wasn't the best that this artist could do, but like it still resonated with me. It's still my favorite. But it's good. It's good not to be a perfectionist because then, like I said, then nothing comes out. Then you never release anything. So
Yeah. So yeah, I could tell you can. definitely get into that philosophy as well. Because I mean, not to say because your music's not perfect, but you just get in there and do it, and it's I could tell it's a whole like it's a living thing. You know, your
Yeah,
music is a living thing,
for
which
sure.
is I mean, by the way, you got a hi from Donna.
It's,
I
it's my
thought you
mom.
said your mom. Okay, there you
Her ear must have been ringing. We were talking about her.
go. Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if my mom's checking it out too.
Nice. Shout out to the
Yeah,
moms.
yeah. Respect to the mothers who let us make a lot of noise in the basement. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So okay. So can you give me I don't know a list of 5 or 10 of your favorite artists?
Okay.
Now, not necessarily most influential. Let's say because that's kind of a different thing. If you want to do
Okay.
most influential, maybe 5 influential and 5 like that you actually really like to listen to nowadays because they're
Sure.
not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. I'll start with the influential ones. Um, well, I'm gonna say Weezer because you mentioned Weezer, and like I would be a liar if I didn't mention Weezer. And I feel like very often people kind of like scoff or like roll their eyes when they hear Weezer because they're just like they're kind of like a meme almost
Hmm.
to a degree because they're like a band that released like three really, in my opinion, really good albums, and then a lot of them were kind of just like, what the hell is that? But I also stand by Rivers Cuomo. I think he on every album he released some of the worst music he's ever written and some of the best music he's ever written on each like just sprinkled in there. So I I I stand by him. I protect him with all my might. So
Wow.
Weezer for sure. And I just love them because it's like the songwriting I think is so good. I think he comes up with such great vocal melodies and like they're using like power chords, but it's just like I don't know. I love Weezer and just like the guitar playing the solos because they're like into hair metal like
Hmm.
when they were younger, so you could hear it when they like when they play solos when they do solos on their music. So I don't know. I just love it. It's just like it's just it's everything I look for in music. So Weezer. This guy Jeff Rosenstock too. He's been around for about it's maybe like 15 years at this point. He's like a guy from he's like a punk rocker from Long Island, and he was in a band called Bomb the Music Industry, and they were very like DIY, just punk rock, like folk punk kind of. And he kind of had a second wind with his
Jeff
solo career,
Rosenstock, you said?
Jeff Rosenstock, yeah. And
Okay.
he's put out some of my favorite music of all time. He has this album called Worry, which came out in 2016, and it's just like one of the best albums I've ever heard. It's like punk rock, but like if you just do everything with it, you know. And I guess which brings me to my next guy, Bruce Springsteen. Um, I was very late to Springsteen. As a kid, I could take him or leave him. I didn't care about him. My parents, not that they didn't like him, but they weren't like crazy about him. I feel like some people have parents who are like Bruce Springsteen heads. Like they have a Bruce Springsteen shirt. They hop out of the bed in the morning, put on their Bruce Springsteen slippers, and get in the Bruce. Oh, my parents, you know, whatever. Like they liked him. I might not even have liked him. I might have been like, oh, that guy sucks. But something happened in college. I had like a pop music class. And just this rock writer came in and spoke about Bruce Springsteen in such a way that I was like, all right, maybe I need to double check. And I also wa finished watching The Sopranos for the first time with my mom. And like, you know, Silvio is Steven Van Zandt in Bruce Springsteen, and then I listened to Born to Run, which is like crazy. It's like not like when are you not going to hear that song? Like it's always on Q104.3, and so it's always in commercials. And I just listened to it. I was like, I get it now. I was like, what the hell? This is like amazing. So I love Jeff Rosenstock also because I feel like he maximizes his like what he does with the song. Like, you know, there's glockenspiel, there's like synth, organ, but it's like still punk rock, you know. So I feel like there's like parallels with him and Bruce Springsteen, and you know they talk. There's like it's like political, it's like emotional, it's got everything. So that's why I love those two guys. So I said Weezer, Jeff, Bruce. This band Pup too. They're from Canada.
Pop
I
two, you said?
Pup, Pup.
Okay. PvP.
Um, they're from Toronto, I believe. And they're just like their music is just so good. They have this album. So their first album is a self-titled album. I think I listened to it because I was going to Warped Tour, and this is like 2015 and 2015. And one of the bands I liked at the time posted like, "Hey, Pup is playing Warped Tour. It's very important that you go see them because they've released one of the best rock albums of the past like 10 years." And I was like, "Oh, that's a great sell." So I listened to it, and the album blew me away. And when I saw them, there was like five people in the crowd. They were the loudest band I'd ever heard. I had to leave because my ears were it was just all out assault on my ears. But it was great. And then after that, they kind of like blew up, and the next two albums are like some of the most important albums to me. Like, as like a college student, I listened to them on the train. Just great stuff. It's very loud, like it's very sing along. You know, they have like whoas, like and like oohs and ahs, and it's like just their live show is amazing. Just it's great
What
stuff.
genre would you say that is?
Um, it's like punk rock. There's got to be a word for it. I'm not too sure the specifics, but it almost sounds like because arena rock is such like a specific era, I guess, like what, like late 70s, early 80s. I feel like their stuff is kind of like arena rock, but for like the 2010s, you know, because again, it's like stuff that I feel like you could hear in like a stadium, like a sports
Hmm.
stadium. Because I think they actually got big partly because their music is in like the NHL games too. So like yeah, so I guess punk rock, maybe melodic hardcore, I guess you could throw on there.
Okay,
Whatever
interesting.
that means, whatever melodic hardcore is. Um, and then this band, Title Fight, which is a band I loved in high school. They're having a resurgence right now because TikTok, like one of their songs, like got really popular on TikTok. Again, another band that's melodic hardcore. So it's like hardcore, but like there's like a poppy element to it, which I believe that's what melodic hardcore is. They're like a band where like they were in like high school when they kind of got big, and like uh so the music, I don't want to say it doesn't it's very often when the artist is very young, the music doesn't age well. But they're a band where I feel like I listen to it and it sounds like it doesn't feel like kids wrote this. You know what I'm saying? It
Mhm.
still resonates with me. I it still holds up. They broke up maybe 10 years ago now. I think they broke up in 2017. Or they just kind of went on hiatus, and one of their singers is now in a band called Glitterer, and it's like really good. It's like power pop, but that band still holds up for me. It's still some of my favorite stuff. Um,
Wow,
so yeah,
so that's five. Those are influences, you would say,
I guess
more
you could
so
say
than.
influences. It's hard to say because it goes back and forth, like favorite bands. Maybe more of my favorite bands. But Jeff Rosenstock, as far as like, is definitely an influence of mine. Um, what was the first one I said? Weezer is definitely an influence of mine. Um, hmm.
Bruce.
Bruce, yeah, Bruce. I would say he's an influence, but I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could touch that just yet because like again Screwball is very like a four-piece rock band, you know, guitar, bass, drums. Well, two guitars, but I would love to introduce like sax and like piano eventually. So he's like that's like um
Okay, I see what you
to be determined as far as
mean. All
influence
right.
goes, you know. Um. I'd say I'm wearing a Wings crew neck. Wings is definitely Paul McCartney and Wings are definitely an
Oh, really?
influence. Like I
Hmm.
was listening to a lot of just like Wings.
Yep.
And that helped me write one of our songs that we're putting out soon. Trying to think. My influences and favorite bands are blending together. Um
Yeah, whatever. Don't worry about distinguishing, but
yeah,
yeah, just put them all together.
sure, yeah, Wings.
Uh,
Honestly,
but
I'm
what
very
I have to say, I'm fascinated. You know, when I ask different people this question, like, there's no way I could guess any of these influences of yours besides Weezer, because I heard that in your music a
yeah,
little bit. But when you told us that night that you were a big fan of Bruce Springsteen, I was like, who knows, right? What people like,
right.
you can't guess it just from what people play. Uh, and yeah, I never got Springsteen. I tried. I have like one or two of his albums,
Yeah.
but it doesn't light me up. I'm much more a Billy Joel guy if you want to go in that type of band setup.
It's funny. I was just watching the. I'm pointing to my TV. I was just watching, or I just started the documentary on HBO, the Billy Joel
Oh yeah,
documentary. The two, I think it's a two-part documentary, but it kind of cool to hear his start. Like being in Attila or whatever, this two-piece band. Like I don't know, just I don't really
right.
know much about Joel other than the hits, But
Oh, okay.
yeah, he's great. I'm definitely interested to learn more about him.
Oh yeah, please do. I mean, he's a incredible songwriter. You know, he's a bit of a nutcase, sure, but
Yeah, of course.
he's an incredible songwriter, man. Like I mean, if you listen to his greatest hits, I think he had three greatest hits, and I don't think there's some hits that didn't even make it on there. That's how many
Right.
greatest hits he has. There's some slamming songs that just there was no room.
Yeah, a lot of ground to cover because it spans like decades, right? It's not like he like even in the
Yeah,
80s, I know people are critical about his 80s run, but like 80s is like there's hits all around, hits on hits.
yeah.
So
70s, 80s, 90s, he had hits, and I
yeah,
don't know about any after that, but definitely a lots, plenty in all those decades.
yeah,
And
solid
I
artist.
saw him three times, four times live.
Really?
Yeah, and when I younger, like late '90s, early 2000s, and some of the best shows I've ever seen, I have to say.
That's great. I have
Um,
yet to see him yet. He was doing the residency, and like I always tell myself with the older guys, like, yeah, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, and he stopped doing it. So
yeah,
I'll try to catch him at some point. But that's what I'm trying to do right now, trying to catch all the legends, while they're still here. But yeah, Billy Joel's definitely on the list. So
yeah. If he plays again, who knows? But there's
yeah,
some excellent footage of his shows, and it's pretty close to
yeah,
to get an idea what yeah, a lot less loud, I guess. But
sure.
um, yeah. So anyway, this just surprised me. Like I like that you said a bunch of artists I don't know: Jeff Rosenstock, Pup, Title Fight. I
Hmm.
don't know. Well, those three artists I don't know. And Wings, I wouldn't have guessed Wings,
Yeah,
but it's cool that, I'm not a Wings fan, but, I like to hear why people like bands that I can't get into.
yeah. I was always like I always say George is my favorite Beatle, but like
Hmm.
'cause I love All Things Must Pass. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. But then I like had like a week where I'd like listened to Band on the Run like 1,000 times, and I was like, this song is so good, and I was like, you know what, let me just dive into Wings, and I love it because it's just like I don't want to say it's like simple because I don't want to like try to shortchange Paul McCartney, but like it's just like it's nothing too. It's like it's very digestible. It's fun.
Hmm.
I love pop songs. I love pop music, so like. I don't know, just good stuff. It's a lot of fun stuff. And I have like a book just about like Paul McCartney and just like it's like one of those books where it's like his songs and like how he came up with this one. And almost all the songs are just like he saw like a headline or something, or like he saw a word or like saw something on TV or something, and like he just wrote a whole song about it. And again, it's nothing too deep. I don't want to say it's nonsense because it's not true, but it's like a testament to like you could write a song about anything, and I'm trying
Hmm.
to like take that and like make that work with like my music, and I just appreciate that a lot with Wings and just him in general. So he definitely rose up in the ranks for me as far as a favorite Beatle. So
Okay.
very big into Wings now. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay, cool. I could see that. Yeah, so that's kind of maybe I'm not a big pop fan, I think.
Mhm.
So maybe that's why I don't like Wings so much. It did seem a little too shallow. Yeah, it's shallow. That's
Yes,
what I
yeah,
like about
exactly.
Wings.
Shallow for sure.
But it's well done. Like when that whatever that Christmas song is, I think
Oh
that
yeah,
moved it up, moved it up. It's like this is shallow, but it's so much Christmas music is whatever.
for
But
sure.
I do get in a good mood when I hear that in Christmas time.
Yeah, right. And that's the
So
thing too. I feel like I try to do that because if none of my music I feel is all that like wow, that was profound, But at the very least when I perform, I like the reaction. I like people to dance and move, which I feel like we're able to get for the most part, So I like to capitalize on that a little bit
mhm,
and like write songs that like make people move a little bit. I mean, it's punk rock music, so it's like it doesn't take
mhm,
much, but yeah, I don't know.
right.
Sometimes the shallow stuff is fun. Yeah, that Christmas song is a big, it's a controversial one. One of me and my buddy always joke back and forth like he hates it, but I'm like, yo, it's the best song ever. I don't think that, but I just like to
Right.
really,
To
nudge him.
prod him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I could list a bunch of Christmas songs I don't like, but that one's not one of them. It took me, I had to adapt to it. I had
Yeah.
to like, feel like, yeah, it didn't, I didn't love it right away, but
Yeah, there's like a
uh,
nostalgia factor for a lot of them, I feel too. I remember when I was a kid, it was funny, I was talking to my parents about this, like on the topic of Springsteen. I used to hear his Santa Claus is coming to town all the time. When I was a kid, I hated it. I was like, why does this guy sound like he's crying? I was like, who let this guy on the mic if he's crying? Santa Claus coming to town, So I always hated that one. But as now that I'm a born again Bruce fan, I love that one, but yeah, there's a nostalgia factor for a lot of the Christmas music. So even like the annoying ones or the crappy ones have a place in my heart at this point. So
yeah, yeah, I could see that.
yeah.
Um, I'm getting. It looks like someone's going to join us on here. I don't know if it's acceptable with you if they join, but I
You
just
got a
gotta.
guess?
Yeah, it looks like my wife is trying to join with my son, I
Cool.
think.
Let's do it.
I hope they have some good questions.
Yeah, yeah. Fire
Okay.
away.
All right. Well, they disappeared. We'll see if they come
Uh-oh.
back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, stay tuned.
Cool. So, did you ever have, and you must have, but like a strong desire that I want to make it in music and this is going to be my career?
But yeah, that's like always in the back of your mind, I feel. Like I hate to say like I mean of course I do it because I love it. It's like all I want to do. It's like I mean as you could tell I teach, but I always try to and that's like it takes up a lot of my time and energy, but I still have this like drive to just do my music stuff. I'm in like four or five different bands, like maybe one or two aren't as active as the other ones, but like it's just like it's just like what I do. It's just like a part of me. I love to do it. I love to sing, I love to perform, I love to like write songs. But of course there's always that like, it'd be great if I could just do this, and just focus on my music and focus on songwriting only and just make money from that. So there's always that, like I'm like 28 now, it's like most people, become famous or whatever, famous or like reach that point where they're a little bit younger, but there's always that like there's always that idea in the back of my head that like, hey, maybe something will work someday. And it's like it's anybody's guess nowadays because it's like there's like I said, that band Title Fight, they broke up in 2017 and they're having like a huge resurgence on TikTok just because somebody put their music like in like a video. So you never know. So
No, you never know.
I always think about that too. And this other band, Superheaven, they were a band, they were like one of the Title Fight's contemporaries. And I remember when I used to go see them, uh, I don't want to say there wasn't many people in the crowd, but like there was, it wasn't like a sold out show, but they're a band too that just had like just from TikTok, like just people like spreading their music around or like it became like a meme song. It was like in the background of like a TikTok, like that was like somebody being sad. It was like this, like the sound of like whatever song, their song Youngest Daughter, I think it's called. And like
Mhm.
they were able to like start touring again and like they like made another album just because like there was a huge like boost in interest of their music. So yeah, there's always that for me, and I'm always like, oh, maybe one of our songs will catch, or maybe somebody will see one of our songs somewhere and there's always that in the back of my mind, but I don't want to say I do it because of that. It's like I'm gonna do it regardless just because it's just like a
Yeah,
part of me. But yeah, of course, that'd be great, imagine.
sure. Yeah, no, definitely. Are you familiar with Typo Negative?
Yeah, yeah, of course, they're local guys, right?
Yeah, yeah, Brooklyn goth rock legend, like goth metal, Typo
Hmm.
Negative. And anyway, I share it because Pete Steele, the lead singer, who's no longer with us, but he formed Typo when he was about 30 or something like that. So
Hmm.
just throwing that out there. And then that took off. He, you
Right.
know, he was he worked for the city, for the sanitation department for many
Oh,
years,
I
and
didn't
then
even
he
know
was
that.
yeah before that, yeah, he was like a
Oh,
he was a professional guy, and he was able to kind of keep it together for while he was had a job. But
yeah.
once the rock star thing started to happen, then he just allowed himself to be a rock star.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
great. It's like so many of that like people that were just like like I don't want to say like adults because I've been an adult for like 10 plus years now at this point, but it's like people that had like their careers already and then like yeah, just like it just hits one day and they're able to live out their dream, I guess. And it's like the coolest thing ever, especially hearing that about like a local guy too is like
yeah,
awesome. I love that.
it's cool. Like he had Carnivore, this like, are you familiar with Carnivore? Yeah,
Yeah.
this kind of hardcore-ish band, but metal band before, and they made some splash, but it wasn't happening. He still had
Right.
to keep the job and all that, and then something with Typo. I don't know exactly how the beginnings, how they broke, and he was able to quit his job and move on, but that's what happened, more or
Yeah.
less.
It's great. Some of my students too are like so 2 years ago I was a sub. I wasn't a full-time teacher yet, and I was just like subbing and like the eighth graders or seventh graders they were like, "Oh, Mr. Manetta, do you listen to Typo Negative?" I was like, well, "How do you guys even know about that?" I was like, "That's great. They're from right over here. So I'm happy you're
Mhm.
listening to local music." And I was like telling him, I was like, "Yeah, my buddy, his guitar teacher was in Carnivore." So like
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, we're all connected." And they're like, "Wow, that's so cool." But yeah, the kids are finding out about Typo Negative. So that's cool.
That is cool. The guy who you're talking about, uh, really sorry I forget his name, but who played in Carnivore for a while, the guitarist.
Mhm.
Uh, we my band Level Six. It was a band I had from 2003, 2006. It wasn't my band. It was a band I joined,
Right.
which to me it's different, right? When you kind of form a band, or so I just joined that band, and we wrote a lot together. But anyway, we had a chance. We rehearsed next to Typo Negative for about a year,
Right.
literally knock on the wall. That's them.
Was that in
So
Fast Lanes?
no, this was
Yeah.
in it was Rockaway. There used to
Okay.
be a bunch of studios in Rockaway, Beach
Yeah.
116 around there.
Okay.
And so Typo was right next door, and we'd run into Pete. Pete was like a neighbor. Pete Steele was a neighbor of the bass player in my band. They lived like 2 blocks away, so they would see each other in the neighborhood. We passed Murrow High School today, and I showed my son. I'm like, Pete Steele used to live down this block. He's like, really, Pete Steele?
Cool.
Um, so anyway, Pete ran into us, and he was explaining, I'm gonna bringing the carnival back for a small tour, and if you guys want to join us, it'd be great. So like, yeah, we do.
Of course.
So we did like a 3 date weekend. I don't know, it was like Virginia, upstate New York, and Pennsylvania in 3 days. A couple of pretty big clubs with them. So I got to meet the those guys, who were playing
Oh,
in the
cool.
band at the time, and Joey Z, I think, was in it, who's a like Wagner guitarist. I think he was playing in
Oh,
it,
that's
and hung
awesome
out with Pete. That was experience.
for sure. It's great.
Yeah,
I
and
that's something I've always wanted to do is tour. I've played out of state, but I have never done like an actual tour yet. But now that I get time off as a teacher, maybe I can make that work.
right, yeah. Well, no, no, don't want to spoil anything, but for me, that was like the reason. Don't even want to spoil anything for you. We're all different, but I realized I'm not built for touring. That's what that taught
Gotcha.
me.
Okay, yeah, I know a lot. It's like rough. It's like you're not guaranteed to be making money, and places to stay, aren't always figured out. Yeah, I totally get that. You said
Yeah,
it was a three night run?
yeah. It was like so. We went down to started off in somewhere upstate. I have it in my file somewhere, but
Yeah.
we started off upstate and I forget the town, New York. Then we played the freaking show, right? And then hopped in this van that we rented and we drove all the way down to Virginia, like 10 plus
Yeah.
hours after the show. What,
Yeah.
I don't know how long it was. Maybe it was 8 hours, and of course, and then after that show, then we drove up to Pennsylvania. I forgot
Jesus.
Allentown, I think it might have been, and another huge long drive through the night. And some of these nights were foggy, and everyone's drinking. No one's not drinking. So Like I wasn't. Maybe I was the least drunk, but I was fucking exhausted, so I couldn't drive. It wouldn't have been any better. I would have fell asleep at the wheel, so I had to just trust this other guy who has a high tolerance. I'm like, hopefully, it's better than me driving.
Close my eyes and hopefully
You know?
hopefully I wake up.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and it was only those like all together like 4 nights of driving, whatever it was, and I had some conversations with the creator or the universe, and I was like, if I make it out alive, I'm gonna just try to uh, just create a lot of value for this world, you know.
Right. Yeah, yeah. That's great.
And
Yeah, no, that's
yeah,
a lot.
I did enough of other local things that weren't so extended, where I felt like I just want to chill out. I mean, if I could be in a this touring machine of like healthy and kind of what do you call it? Responsible people,
Yeah, yeah. Good
maybe
for
that'll be
you.
totally different, right?
For sure. But that's great. You got like a taste of it, and like realize like, okay, this is like not for the faint of heart, you know?
No, enough. I'm just not built that way. I'm very
Yeah.
sensitive, but so I'm like, nah. And I could tell I wasn't healthy from the lifestyle, just in general,
Yeah.
back when I was like playing a lot and, getting health issues. So I was like, um, yeah. Anyway, so that was marked the end of my days. I gave it a good run, I'd say from 93 to 90, to 2006. I really tried to make it, of course I was a kid for part of it, but I really tried my darndest to make it as a rock musician in a band, and
Right.
I did. And then I moved on and I went to teaching, kind of similar
Oh,
to you, but I didn't stick with it because teaching wasn't for me either, I found.
yeah, yeah. It's rough. It's a crazy profession. I don't know how I found myself in it, but here I am.
Yeah, I know. I definitely give you props for doing it, and then for not, like putting your dream on the side and say, well, I'm going to just teach now and forget about that. No,
Yeah, no,
you
I'm
just,
doing I'm gonna do it regardless.
yeah,
I figured out because my past few years, like my past ten years or so playing music, like it's never like the most convenient. It's a lot of driving around, a lot of spending energy, a lot of like sleepless nights, like waking up early, trying to fit practices in between like a 30-minute block. It's like it's a lot, but I'm gonna do it regardless because it's just again, it's just what I love to do. I gotta make it work by any means necessary for me. So
yeah, that's
regardless.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Uh, so Donna says Travis Barker too. I'm not sure what that was in relation to, but
Hmm.
um, something that we talked about, I suppose. And
Or
she said
maybe
that she
one of all
loves.
my inspirations as a drummer, maybe.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
And she said she loved the basement days too. That's pretty cool that your mom
Yeah,
liked
right.
your basement
Good
days.
good review, right? So
Nice.
I guess she never complained. I will say that she never like once we got a dog. We lost her back in June, but once we got my dog Molly, she was like, okay, no more loud music at the house because I didn't want to damage her ears or anything. But
Oh,
throughout
wow.
the whole days playing in the basement, she never complained. She was always here for it. She
Wow.
would say, "Oh, this sounded really good." She'd be impressed
Wow.
if we, like played something that resembled music. So
Hmm.
I gotta say, I had a great support system.
That's
So,
beautiful.
yeah.
My mom, she always let us do it, but it was a fight, and I don't think she ever once complimented us. Uh, sounding good. She
Right.
basically said I hated it, but I know it's important to you, so
As long as she let you play in the basement, that in itself is like
that's
a
the key.
cosign, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Wasn't
key.
too bad.
No, yeah, exactly. No, no worries about that.
Yeah.
Um, so, what about reading? Are you a reader?
So I would like to read a lot more than I do. And I think that's the big thing too. I think that's another reason why I sometimes struggle with the words. I wouldn't say I have a bad vocabulary or like a small vocabulary or anything, but like I think that's something that maybe affects my songwriting because I feel like if I read more, maybe I'd know how to like say certain things or like see how like these great writers. uh uh put their feelings into writing, you know?
Mhm.
I think that would help. So I've been trying to read a little bit more. Right now I'm reading with the theme of of this interview, I'm reading a Bruce Springsteen book
Nice.
by this guy Stephen Hayden. It's called There Was Nothing You Can Do, and it's like just about the making, not necessarily like the making of Born in the USA, but it's just like how it related to the culture at the time and how like an album like that, like it's like a question like, can this album be made now? You know, with everybody being so like on one side or the other. It's kind of just like a commentary on just like the the time that the album was made in and like how it relates to the political climate now. And it's good so far. I just started it. I'm like maybe two chapters in, and it's good. It's interesting stuff. I love to learn. I love to read. I read comic books or like manga, a
All
Japanese
right.
manga. So I love to read. It's just like I'm always like running around doing something. So I gotta squeeze reading in there when I can, you know?
Yeah, no, I can only imagine like having a, a teaching job and all the hours that that takes, and you got to do reading within that, of course,
Yeah.
and paperwork and stuff. So to have your own leisurely reading time would be, yeah. And plus, you try and do these bands on top of it. Forget about
Yeah. A lot of forced reading with my job, but it's cool. It's fun. You got to read a kid's essay and just read the stuff that we're giving them, and it's fun. But
sure.
yeah,
That's
definitely gotta find stuff that piques my interest, you know?
right, exactly. Yeah, to read your own choice of that's trickier to fit in with your,
Yeah.
with the tight schedule. But I think it's important. I have more leisure time now than I did years ago, and I do make reading a high priority. And then, if for in order for me to make it feel like I did it, I read it. I always post a book review on my on my YouTube page.
Mm.
So I have a lot of book reviews of all the autobiographies I've read and a lot of historical stuff about the
Yeah,
Catholic Church, about 20s music. Now I'm reading a book about 50s music,
it's great.
you know. And
Yeah.
I'm a writer too. So
Oh, do you have you written like your own book or like short
yeah, yeah.
stories?
So I have three books that are guitar, not really exactly what's the word? Not really tutorial books because they are. I mean, I do teach a lot of points in there,
Yeah.
but like they're single string songs, so there are 12 songs in each book, and it shows you how to play the song on a single tab. So it's just one line with numbers, and teaches points, and there's play along tracks that you could access. And so I taught students like that for many years, and then it got into different schools across the country. People were beginning to use the method, which is cool.
Mm.
And then, but I really want to write, like write. So that's musical ideas that I put. But then I put out one book called Mind Your Music, which is about my philosophy on the importance of paying attention to the type of music you listen to because it could affect your life deeply, And I've
Mm.
learned that, both positive and negative aspects. And so it's not like I tell anybody what they should listen to, but I say I divide music into three categories to consider, which are um, light, uh, light music, dark music, and gray area music. And I say the majority of music we encounter is going to be gray area. It's going to have a little bit of dark energy, a little bit of light, and you got to choose where on the spectrum it is. Like how do you feel when you listen to it? How do you feel after? Like, do you want to kill someone when you're done listening to it? Then maybe it's not the greatest thing. If you're
Right,
pumping
yeah.
up to get workout, okay, and
Yeah.
you have to do that, great. But like, if you really like don't trust your neighbor after you hear this band, then maybe you want to listen to something that makes you opens your heart a little more. And it could be a really heavy band or a crazy band that opens your heart, but you got to know that for yourself. And we're so much passive, we take in so much music passively, like when you worked at the mall, right? Or at a shoe store. So
Forget
can you
it.
imagine all the music you were forced to listen to through
Yeah.
that? So just to be aware of, okay, this might not be good for me. Maybe it's fine, maybe it's not. And to just do what we can to make music work in our favor, you know.
That sounds great. That's something that piques my interest right there. I'd love to read that. That's
Oh,
awesome.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll send you a copy or whenever I see you, I'll give
Please.
you a
Yeah,
copy.
please do. For sure. You know,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, no, you're right. Like think about the music like because when I worked at Key Food on Garrettson Avenue and all the
Hmm.
like this the very like there was definitely a lot of gray area there for sure because it's just like that adult contemporary like standing every day and I'm like oh my God this is I'm gonna shoot myself but it's just like that stuff that makes you just like it's like the blah stuff but then like music that actually makes you feel. I know like when I was in high school I was listening to a lot of like very like emo music, you know, and like there's like an end to that where it kind of makes you feel sad, but then there's like a nostalgic aspect to it too, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yes.
that music is very like I don't there's it's like there's two different ends of that, you know, because I feel like you know when you're like in high school you're kind of going through like you know the motions of you know what it is to be I don't know, in high school, you know,
Hmm.
all the you're becoming on your way to becoming an adult, you know, so it's like that kind of music thrown on top of it makes you feel like maybe it's a little bit makes you feel a little bit more dramatic, you know, or makes you
Oh,
feel like a
mhm.
little bit more like serious than things actually are. But then there's like an aspect to like the music that I was listening to at the time that would like make me feel like really good, you know. It says, yeah, that's really I'm just like
Yeah. No,
I'm just
exactly. But
word
that's kind of
vomiting, but
what
yeah.
that's part of the point of the book is just to like make people just to think to introduce the topic for consideration, and then you could just think about it for yourself. What does it mean to you? You know, and it's
Right.
not like there's any black or white answers, but yeah, like for example, I bring up a point in the book when I met this guy. Are you a fan of The Cure at all?
The Cure, I there that's a band that I've like I know like the hits, like I know like Friday I'm
Okay,
in Love and Just Like
all right.
Heaven. I
Yeah,
definitely
so The
appreciate.
Cure. Then there's a band called The Smiths,
Yes, yes,
and they're really bright sounding but gloomy as heck. And
yes.
then there's a band called Joy Division, which is similar, but I never got into them. But between The Smiths and The Cure, I listened to them a lot, and especially high school days and like early college. And I noticed that they were heavy, you know, like you said, like whatever you describe emo, it's similar. It's not emo music, but it's like dramatic, you know, this like love, you know, like unrequited love, right? A lot, or
Yeah, of
in the
course.
Smiths case, very pessimistic about love or life, but they do it in a way that's really like, what's the word? Cathartic,
Yes.
you know, and which I guess is emo's thing too. And so I met this guy in college one day in the halls. We were hanging out practicing because I was a music conservatory. Late at night, it's just me and this guy, and we start talking. He's a Russian guy. He was a foreigner, and he was just explaining that I can't listen to The Cure or the Smiths too much. I get very, very depressed. And I guess he
Mm,
was like prone to that or something. But he's
yeah.
like, that's very unhealthy for me. And I didn't think about it until that moment. I was like 20 or something. Like, yeah, I guess it is, you know. But I was in a good space. So for me, I heard it, and it was good for me because I wasn't depressed. So it was just like
Right.
that whatever feeling it gave me, like I could connect with something, and then I would just step out of it. But to listen to that type of thing a lot when you're not in a good place could be bad news, you know.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely. Yeah, like I feel like if I'm like you know, like when I was like younger, if I'm listening to something that's like it's like yeah, it depends on the mood that I'm feeling when I'm listening to it. Like if I was like feeling like a little sad or depressed about something and I'm listening to music that also kind of emulates that feeling, like now it's gonna make me stew in it even more, like think
Hmm.
about it in like this certain way, which maybe is a good thing, you know, to try to like work through these feelings, but like sometimes you know like it has an effect, you know, it's not just like you know, like you said, like the gray area music is like where it's just kind of like, you know, you background music. It's like maybe affecting how you actually feel and how you're dealing with it or how you're moving past that certain feeling. But yeah, so there's something to it for sure. And it makes a lot of sense, you know? So
Yeah. So that was something I just like. I want to write a book, and I like philosophy books. Like I like Alan Watts. I like all sorts of philosophy, and um, and the philosophy books tend to be thin. And I had this message. I'm like, what could I write about that I could do quick? Because it was at a time when I was doing a lot of guitar teaching, and I just had a lot going on. And I had this like week at the end of the year when I wrote this Mind Your Music, kind of. So I had this week at the end of 2015 where I'm like, okay, this is like Christmas break basically. I'm like,
Mhm.
my responsibilities are going to lag. They're going to, slow down. And I really want to write a book. So I'm going to see if I could write a book in this week before school, before things pick up. It wasn't school, but just in general. And so I bought this program. My Yoko bought it for my birthday, which was write a book in 7 days or something like that. And I followed the rules. I came up with this thing, it's 6 chapters, and I released this book called uh, Music for Health. That's what I first called it. And anyway, it's sad, and I only released it as an ebook, but I did, and I was very happy about it. But then years later, I'm like, I wish it was a paperback. And to make it a paperback wasn't that easy. I didn't know how to do it, and I would need to get help. I'm like, if I'm going to invest in help, I'm not really that happy with the book, so I might have to kind of rewrite some of it. So anyway, eventually I got to it, and in 2021, like so, maybe at least 5 years later, I was able to release it as a paperback, totally different book, but it's the same premise. It's built in the skeleton of the original, so I don't consider that I wrote two books. It's mainly just this one.
Yeah.
But the format is now is pretty solid. So whatever. So anyway, that I got that out of my off my chest, and now what I'm focusing on is my autobiography.
That's awesome. That's kind of like what we were talking about with sitting on a song for a long time, and not like releasing it, right? So like I guess that
Mhm.
book was something that was sitting and then by the time you put it out it was something kind of completely different, right?
Yeah, right. And for me, I just felt like if I don't honor this like kind of agreement with myself to finish it, who's to say I'm gonna honor the next thing I try to do? So that's why I want to
Right.
like get it out. It's kind of like pooping, right? I just want to like poop
Just
out
get
whatever
it
I
out.
ate. I
Move
don't want
on
to
to
get
the next
stuck in
thing.
there.
Yeah, for sure.
Just keep the flow going because I want to create new stuff.
Have you started the autobiography yet, or is that something like just like an idea that you're like thinking about doing?
No, it's deep, man. I'm already
Yeah.
like I would say 70% in, and
Whoa, okay.
it covers 40 years from 1980 to 2020, and I wanted each chapter to be a year.
Sure.
So I didn't want to just like glaze over like this is my childhood and it's one chapter. I want to dig into like basically to say it's not a it's not a story about a rock star. It's not a story about a politician. It's an ordinary person who had a journey. And I tried to go to be a rock star. I tried this. I tried that. I had this religious or spiritual awakening type of thing amidst it, and so I try to like share the story as if just this like human being, this human experience. So who I was when I was 3, when I was 7, when I was 14, it was all equally important. There wasn't like one moment, my failure or success that was so special. It's all
Like
the story.
slice of life almost, right? Just like, go just live it. There's a book I read in college, Ham on Rye by Charles Bukowski. And
Hmm.
that's kind of like an auto it's he's writing it as a fictional version of himself, but like he starts with the earliest thing that he remembers and then it just goes on from there, just him experiencing life and just like heartbreak and just like his experiences with his parents and stuff and it drops off to where he graduates college, I think, or gets his first job. And
Hmm.
I remember when I was like in college, I was like, wow, imagine just like chronicling everything that you remember from the beginning to now, and just like, and I was trying to like that was like an exercise in myself. I was like, I wrote down like age 1, 2, 3, 4, like things I can maybe remember.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's awesome that you're like I'm sure it gets like fuzzy in certain points, but like what like do you have like that one year where like you first remember like or like I guess I'm trying to say like how far does it go back as far as like memories? Do you start like my first memory is blah blah blah,
Right,
or
right. So great question. Yeah. So like I had this vision, right? So I'm like, I'm only going to write this book if I have a clear vision of how to do it. And if I just try to write like the, these things I remember, which I would have to do if there was no internet and if there was no uh, access to my mom, because I could, pick her brain about my childhood and I have a lot of photos that I can roughly break into years and tell the story. But I check, I do very elaborate process, dude. Like timelines. Every single year I have a timeline. What are the current events that happen? What are the albums? What is the movies? What is the TV shows that are on? So I could put it all together because I would be like, if I have this memory and this show was on TV at this time, it would have to be in 1987. So then I could then I
Mm.
could plug that in, and it must have been, October or whatever because there was a Halloween thing, and then I plug it in, and then whatever's appearing in each chapter is I more or less I do every chapter from January to December in order as best I
Wow.
can because I was curious like what is my life in context look like,
Yeah.
and so I piece in, when the first time I played Super Mario Brothers, that was a huge deal in my life, you
Sure.
know. So that goes into place where it was, and of course, when someone passes away, or like a big thing like 9/11, of course, or I was in Japan when Tohoku, that earthquake and the meltdown happened. I was living there, so that was like
Wow.
shocking thing to live through. And yeah, just so these, so to answer, let me try to answer your question. My earliest memories, I do a lot of meditating about it. So I'll
Mhm.
like take a year, I'll sit down and I'll be like, anything that comes that could be that year. I'll look at photos, doing like investigative kind of detective work to figure out what year it is because a lot of them don't have years, And I would ask my mom, when was this cousin's birthday? Because if she looks like a baby, she must have been that year, So I could figure
Sure.
out some of that. And then I'll just like meditate if I have nothing on that year, like 1984, 1986, 82. Those were very tough for me to come. I have some landmarks in 85, like my brother was born.
Sure.
87, my dad died. So like there's some years that you can't forget.
Right.
There's something to pin it on, but some of those years there's nothing. So it just
Right.
blurs. And if I try to remember school, almost nothing comes up. It's amazing.
Really.
Like when I was a kid. So I have to like find these moments and ideally a couple of different seasons per chapter to give it some sense of movement.
Sure.
But and I do, and then I'll just take a picture, like a photo of me blowing out the candles when I'm 3 or something, and I'll just describe it. And then I'll just describe another scene, like my parents take me to botanical gardens or something around that age. And so I write it out like just like an exercise, and then I type it up, and then I will later take that chunk and put it into like some sort of you know what's the word, the story format, prose, send it to prose.
Sure. That's great. That's like I was saying, it's a great exercise and like, trying to like piece your like life together because you so many memories are tied to like you said, like a big events, and I guess if you could like remember how you felt when this happened, you could kind of just build around it or like, maybe you heard like a song or something, or like you said, play Super Mario for the first time. Yeah, you could or look at pictures even and you have like, your mom to talk to about that. That's great. Just it seems like fun. Honestly, it feels like a fun time to try to like string it all together.
It's so therapeutic too because I'm
Yeah.
like, what else you discover is like, there's so many things in our life we say, oh, I wish if when I could finally do that, if I could only do that, then I would feel like, when I first played guitar, like if I could only play my favorite riffs, then I'll be happy. Then
Yeah.
of course it doesn't end there. Then you level it up to then if I could have a band, I'll be happy. And then that happens and you forget that your wish came true. But when I look at my life, like, man, all these things, I remember how much I wanted to just have a guitar. Then I got a guitar. I remember how much I just wanted to play a riff. And then not only did I play a riff, I became a really good guitarist. And like I just wanted to play in a band. And I did. So like my dreams came true all the time. So
Right.
what's with this like, this constant like hunger for more, like, or this sense that is not enough. And when my dreams have always been, my prayers or dreams, whatever you say, has always been fulfilled, answered on the scale that I, was hoping for, but then it was not never enough. So
Right.
it's funny to
Right.
notice that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, thinking about it now, you mentioning that, like, just like me playing guitar in front of people, like at all, like that was like a at one point in my life, like in junior high school, whatever, like that was like a dream of mine. And now it's like so like, oh, I do it all the time. It's like whatever, but like thinking about it, like that's already me living like a dream that I had, when I was a kid, so you realize of course, there's always that hunger for more. You always want to level up and whatever, but like we're always constantly in some way, shape, or form, like achieving our dreams. So it's like it's cool. It's cool to think about.
Yeah,
It's,
it's nice. And then also,
yeah.
of course, you're gonna encounter some of the dark times. You can't help it. And
Right.
but what I realized about autobiography is like it's not about what you write about. Sorry, it's not about what you um, forget to write about. It's just what you choose to write about.
Right.
That's your life. And that's how people, how grandparents and uncles and whoever tells their story. They only tell you about the parts they remember or that they want to tell you about. So when I realize I have so much, like in recent years, I keep a lot of journals, just way too much I could include. I'm like, what do I want to write about? So then I write about that, and then it's called Creative Life in Context. So I want to share a little bit about what's going on in the broader society to make people relate to it. Like,
Hmm.
like, I don't know. I try not to uh, go overboard with that, but I want it to be so that if people don't know me, they can still read it and say, oh, wow, that's interesting. I remember that aspect of society at that time. And
Right.
I thought, wouldn't it be cool? Imagine, because I love history. Imagine you've had a book from somebody that you don't really know, not a famous person, from like 1680 to 1720, those 40 years, and they wrote in depth about each year, about what their life. Wouldn't that be great? So I'm thinking like from a historical point of view, this would just be interesting for people in the future,
Right.
you
And
know?
there's like some regular guy, like what they thought about like some random like world event or like, yeah, no, that's great. I think that would be so interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome.
it's fun. A lot of the chapters are on my website, they're like published as what do you
Oh,
call it?
you're already putting it out.
Yeah, I just every time I finish a chapter, I put it out and let my mailing list know. And
Nice.
I know at least a few. If like two or three people read it, then I feel like okay, it's real, and then I
Yeah.
feel like I can, focus on the next chapter. God, come on, please.
Yeah. I saw like feet. I was like, that's not yours. Like, I thought you were doing like
This
some
guy,
stretch.
man, super annoying. He's laughing. He's just like sitting on me the whole time. And he's not talking.
Yeah.
And he asked me, he's like, "Can I come and talk today?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." But instead, he just sits on my lap and hides,
Co-host.
and he's smiling.
Yeah.
But he listened to Screwball with me. He loves
Really?
music. He played him, yeah, and yeah, he dug it. He thought it was
You
cool.
think? Okay, good, good, cool.
Yeah, whenever I mention new band, he's always like, "Let's check it out." And so
That's
yeah, we
awesome.
listen. He said he wanted to listen to more so we could have an opinion about it, but
Yeah,
he takes
yeah.
it
Yeah.
seriously. But yeah,
As
no, Yoko and I were really
much as you
impressed.
want. Was that?
Yeah, Yoko, my wife and I were really impressed by the show, and
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
we enjoyed it.
Happy you guys came. Happy to have you there. And that's what's great too. It's like I feel like we never really play like we used to play in Garrettson when we were like in college, like at the house shows, and it was still like very like our specific like group in our neighborhood. But it's nice to play like for like the people in the neighborhood, like not necessarily
Hmm.
like friends or like people from school or anything. It's nice to play for just like local
Yeah,
Marine Parkers
local
and
people.
Garrison
Yeah.
Beach rats, to hear what they think, you
Hmm.
know. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome. Happy to play at the gathering. Sam had us back the second time because we had so much fun the first time. It was just like a change of pace from what we normally do, and it was like honestly sounded pretty good too. Like we laugh about how nice it kind of sounds in there. It's nice to see like my coworkers, just people from the neighborhood. It's cool. It's like I said, change of pace.
Yeah, there was a while. Yeah, it did have a good sound, and you guys were loud, but it wasn't like ear bleeding.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully not.
No, no. But yeah, my band used to play my band Modus Tollens, which was 99 to 2000, about 2 solid years, right? Uh, we actually got to it was that dream of ours. We listened to Dave Matthews Band, and I listened to Billy Joel. So we did actually go from a trio, guitar, bass, drums, to add a keyboard. Then we added a sax, and then we got an individual singer. So we got close to that Billy Joel, Dave Matthews thing,
Right.
jam band. anyway, but we in the beginning we were playing this bar called KK's um, on Avenue N, and like definitely before your time, but Avenue M between like not Schenectady, no, I don't know, like 46 and 47 near Utica. It's like a real estate place now, but so that was a little bit like our gather in, but
Cool.
they let underage people in, so our friends could come from the neighborhood and drink, and we were
Yeah.
just in the back by the where the building, where the pool table was that we moved it, and you couldn't really see us, because it wasn't elevated, but yeah, so we had those days, and that
Great.
was cool.
I love to hear about like the history of like just like the area with like rock clubs and stuff or just like
Hmm.
venues. You know, because like me growing up, there's like nothing over here. Like I said, we had fast lanes, but that was like by the time when that closed, I was already like I was still like just getting like learning how to play music or like just starting my first band. So that was just a studio. But like hearing that there was like clubs on like Quinn Road and stuff is like crazy to me. And like I don't know, it's just like I wish there was more spots for people to play here. So it's really cool for that like the gathering allows it, you know. I don't know if you remember this or if you heard about it, but there was like a good like 3 month period where there was a venue on Garrettson Avenue called Do You Want to Dance? And it's actually like maybe like the next block over, towards not like the opposite end of the point of Garrettson. Um, it was called Do You Want to Dance? And it was opened by this guy, Jesse Mosier, who's like this painter who his whole shtick was that he would paint while the bands would play. And the other co-owner was CJ Ramone, who was, he was in the Ramones in the 90s or something. And it was around for 3 months because like nobody knew about it. Like it was just like word of mouth, like, and there was no awning. It was just a black awning, and it just like looked like you couldn't tell what was going on in there. But my friend Joe, who I went to high school with, he just walked by it one day and like found out like, oh, this is a music venue. So we started to just go there, and not a lot of people were there because nobody knew about it. It was just word of mouth. And like we met our buddies Aluth, who's like they were a local Garrettson band, and we ended up playing with them a whole lot. But it was just like a very small period of time where there was like an actual venue in our neighborhood, and it kind of lit a fire under our asses. We're like, we gotta. That was awesome. Why don't we do that again? Because again, it closed after 3 months because nobody knew about it. But
Wow.
yeah, yeah, it
But
was.
they had a space. Was there a stage or something?
It was like a little lift in the ground, you know. It wasn't
Hmm.
a huge stage, but there was a stage, and PA system, drum kit, and the walls were lined with just like portraits that this guy Jesse drew. Like he was a big Ramones fan, so there was a lot of CJ, Dee Dee Ramone, Lou Reed, Lou Reed. There was pictures of Lou Reed everywhere. It was really cool. I wish it was around for longer, but it was like a 3 or 4 month period where it was like the coolest thing ever to me. And the shows were cheap. And it's funny because like there's like the Garrettson kids that are like that aren't into that. They would look in the window, and be like, like what
Hmm.
the hell is this? But it
Hmm.
was great. They had pins and stuff, and like I was trying like my hardest to get my band together so we can play a show, but we couldn't do it in time. It was such a small window. So
Wow.
and then
But
after
yeah,
that we did the house shows on our own, so we made do. But
well,
it's cool.
I'm sure that experience kickstarted you a little bit, right? Put a fire.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it like really, like just like it started the drive of like wanting to play a live show because it was just like we got to play at this place before it closes down. But it was just cool to have, and I wish we had more of that in this area. But again, you make do. I'm sure like there's young kids like that were like my age when we wanted to play there that are already trying to like start their own bands in the basements over here and like making do with what they have, also realizing that there's not a lot of places to play, and who knows, maybe there'll be another house venue somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
That's part of what I think is so cool about well, first of all, hearing people's life story, like this isn't exactly a formal interview, but get to hear your perspective. And uh, when we share our stories, then you hear that's how you learn about stuff like that, right? Like, I didn't know about that aspect of. Brooklyn rock history. That was something you knew about,
Mhm.
but that's how we really learn it. It's like I read this really good history of hair metal, which uh, you know what the book I'm talking about? It's called it's like pink and white. I forget what the name of it, but it's a great history of hair metal, and they did it in terms of it's all they divide into sections that make sense, but it's all just like interview clips from over many years with people on the scene,
Right.
like this member of Guns N' Roses, this member of LA Guns, this member of Poison, and then A&R people. Like, so they're all like the story is really the story of so many people, right? It's not any one person's story. So not just a narrative by a historian. It's just like a bunch of people on the scene talking about a similar topic.
Right.
So that's a cool way of like piecing it together.
Sure, just hearing like what they experienced and the way they looked at the yeah, I think that's good. We gotta do that for the South Brooklyn music scene. We gotta put
Yeah, right.
something together, you know?
Yeah, because it's not like it doesn't exist. There's a some Brooklyn has a history of rock and metal, hardcore, and
Mhm.
other genres.
For
But
sure.
like so, in my book, I got a chance to talk about, like you said, there's a Quentin Road studio. So I used to rehearse at that Quentin Road. Oh, you said a venue maybe, but
I
there was a
think
studio
so.
at Quentin Road as well.
Okay.
And Typo used to rehearse there. But so my I practiced there in like 98, 99, around then. And then the ones we practiced at the most, of course, we did fast lanes, but there was Electric Plant. Are you ever familiar with that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
So Electric Plant is on Utica, was across from that McDonald's, like between I and H, if you're familiar with Utica at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome studio. Most of my bands rehearsed and recorded there, and so that's a great piece of history. And of course, I got a chance to play at L'Amour's a few times. I'm sure you heard of
Mhm.
L'Amour, Rock
Yeah.
Capital, Brooklyn, and then CBGB's. I played it a few times, so I get to
Right.
tell my little tidbit of the rock history, and it's just a slice, but but everyone's era, like your
Yeah.
era, will have different venues that you'll talk about that the previous or future generation might not,
Right.
you know,
And
have.
that, like, just hearing that for me, like, it's like so cool to hear, just like, somebody that's maybe a little bit older than me, just like your experience, just like trying to make it work in this neighborhood, just with your own music and stuff. I think it's cool to hear. I wish there was more stuff to read about it, more stuff to watch about. But this is how it happens, right? This is how we learn about it, just from, like you said, just from talking about it. It's really cool to hear that, like the music, like rock music has like existed, or like live music has existed in this neighborhood, and however many ways it has, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool to
Yeah,
hear. I love it.
yeah, yeah. Well, let me respect your time. I know your body needs some rest.
Yeah,
Uh,
I have to play a show in 10. No, I'm kidding. But
I wouldn't be
gotta,
surprised.
yeah, no, it's usually how my life is, like how the weekend goes. But yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure, Rob. I'll put your link tree so people can find your music to
Thank you.
Screwball.
Yeah,
Guys,
we'll
go
do
check
it.
out Screwball. It's a good listen.
Thanks. And we're playing a show November 15th at Burton. It's a snowboard store. We're a part of this music collective called Cropsy Records, and our buddy got us a show at this snowboard store. So if you like snowboards, if you like music, we're doing that.
Right on. Burton, you said?
Burton, yeah, I think it's in Soho. So
So,
not South Brooklyn, but we got to do a little travel. So
okay, in the city. Okay, nice.
yeah,
South Houston.
yeah,
Cool, man. It's been a pleasure. Uh, I'll text you about where I can send the book. I'll send you a copy of my book.
please do.
Yeah, I think you dig it. And
All
I'll send you a link to this once it's up. I'll email you.
righty. I
All right,
appreciate it.
guys.
Thank you so much for
Keep,
having me.
you're welcome. Keep rocking. And I'm sorry my son didn't do a proper
I
uh,
can't.
joining,
It's okay.
but
We'll do a part two, and he'll direct the interview.
yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah,
You
he's
gotta
good.
come up with
He's good.
questions.
All righty.
All right, cool, man. Have a
Good.
good enjoy this coming week,
Thank
November.
you. You too. All right.
All right,
Enjoy.
take care. Thanks.